Moweni. Good afternoon, goeiemiddag. Hearty welcome to all of my colleagues here, staff, students, and also visitors who are joining us for this very joyous and momentous occasion. My name is Derrick Swartz, and I've been asked to say a few words about this important week in our calendar, coinciding, as Dr. Nsongwana was saying earlier on, with the celebration of the birthday of the late Tata Madiba, one of the most iconic statespersons, leader of the 20th and 21st century, in fact, as well. And so for us, it's a great privilege, an absolute privilege, to be able to mark this momentous day during a week when we are all celebrating his life, his legacy, and his ideals for the future. It is for me also a great privilege to be able to lead this university and to strive towards implementing the vision that he stood for. And you know that in a couple of days from now, on Thursday, we are launching the new brand name of the university from Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University to Nelson Mandela University. Now, many of you may think that's just about stripping out the Metropolitan, which is a difficult thing, of course, to pronounce, and it's a good thing that we're getting rid of the Metropolitan part. Because first of all, the university is not only existing in the metro. The university also exists in George, in the Western Cape, and we have also offices and satellite facilities in Cape Town, in East London, in Durban, in Johannesburg as well. So it's a national asset. It's not only for the city and the province as well. In fact, all universities are national assets, but they are located in a particular set of towns or cities and so on. And secondly, the university also is one that speaks to the world, not just to the city. And so we wanted the university to resonate its influence and its ideas across the world, the continent, and of course the greater world as well. But that's the easy bit. The most important part of this is not just stripping out the name Metropolitan. It's taking on board the name of Nelson Mandela, this incredible, this legendary, this giant, this titan of our age, and having the privilege of an institution like our own to own this name, to be bequeathed this name. It is a huge privilege that I cannot overemphasize to all of you. And so today I want to ask you guys, each one of you, just to think for a few seconds as I'm speaking, what does the name Nelson Mandela University mean to you, to me, as an individual? What words come up in your mind? And I was so struck by the eloquence, how articulate our students and staff had been, and saying what came into their minds about what it means to be called Nelson Mandela University. And there were many things, probably more than 2 or 3 dozen different adjectives or verbs to describe or to characterize what they think, what the name Nelson Mandela University means to them as individuals. And all of them are true. And none of them are incorrect, in other words, as may well be the ideas in your mind. Because this titanic figure, Nelson Mandela, who in a sense represented all these things: democracy, non-racialism, compassion, solidarity, Ubuntu, social justice, a more equal society out there, Madiba, reconciliation, justice, all of those things Madiba represented in different parts and different activities in his lifespan. And you may have noticed earlier on they were showing pictures there of Madiba during different phases of his life. As a young man, for example, there's one picture where he stands with a shovel. Did you guys see that? With a spade. And that was taken, I think, in 64. And it was just when they were incarcerated on the island, on Robben Island with the other political prisoners. And the then regime had sent out the Sunday Times and a couple of other newspaper photographers to come and to take pictures of the happy prisoners, to give to the world this idea that they were treated well and all that. And so when you look at Madiba there, he actually looks angry. If you see that picture again later, just think about this. He was standing defiant with that shuffle with the spectacles on, and to show them, you know, that he doesn't buy that nonsense of theirs. But then you also are shown other pictures of Madiba when he came out of Pollsmoor prison, and he addressed the nation on that amazing day, as you may all, some of you may know, most of you may know, where he spoke in Cape Town, you know, at the plaza, the big plaza there. That was a momentous moment when he came out of a prison and now becoming a political leader of society. And then you showed other pictures of Madiba. There's another picture of him in guerrilla warfare, you know, that was taken in Algeria. The guy that was next to him on the right side was Ben Bella. He was a revolutionary in Algeria, in the FNL, was the revolutionary front like the ANC during the 1960s as well. So they show you different parts of Madiba's life. He was a liberator. He was a military strategist. He was a political activist. He was a reconciler. He was a statesman. He was a husband. He was a father to his children. He was a member of the community. He became a philanthropist towards the end of his life. All these things are true about this titan. So all of these thoughts that my students and staff expressed earlier on represented the spectrum of what Madiba stands for. And today the few comments that I want to make really is in the form of a gentle but firm challenge to all of us, to me and to all of you guys and the other thousands of staff and students that can't make it today. What does Mandela University mean to you, and how are you going to live up to that, what it means to you? To me, it means an unfinished journey. I can describe it in a number of different ways. But today I prefer to use this as an unfinished journey. It's finished for Madiba, the person, but it's unfinished for us. The journey of the total emancipation of humanity, of all our people. That journey started. If I use that phrase, an unfinished journey, it means we started the journey. The university is no longer what it was in 2005 or 2008 or even last year. It has gone through transmutations, major changes, and it must still undergo revolutions as well to live up to the ideals of a world in which all of us can have a place under the sun, based on equality, social justice, democracy, and Ubuntu, fairness, and us living together as one nation and one world. We are still far away from that journey. There's this famous book that Madiba wrote, you know, about his life, where he talks about climbing mountains, you know, the Ngeli Mountains in the old Transkei. And when you come up to a certain hill, and you know, then you realize there's another hill, and another hill, and another hill. So the journey never really ends. It's just different phases in the transitions of that journey. As you go higher, you face new challenges. And he said this at the end of his life: I've lived my life and I'm going to die a happy man, but I know that the journey is not finished. The journey must go on. What is that unfinished journey that we have to complete? And you can describe in your own words, I'm sure. What does that mean? It means if you just go outside of this campus, the Michelville campus, and you see the vast poverty, the informal settlements, and the high rate of unemployment, and the desperation, the levels of crime, and people just living, scraping by every day to make ends meet, and children going to school and going to bed hungry. For me, that's a journey that is unfinished. It is a journey that we have a duty to complete, so that every child, every man, every woman, in every town, every city, have the ability to live to the fullest of their dreams, and not only have equal opportunities, but are supported to fulfill those dreams in their lifetime as well, so that they can become the best that lies within them. That is, for me, a mark of a journey that we must still obtain. It's a march that we must still continue. And until the last person is poor, we are not free. The dream of Madiba has not been fulfilled. And so for me, the unfinished journey means that Nelson Mandela University, our challenge is to change the world out there. so that in 10, 20 years from now, when your children are going to be studying at this university, when they stand on this hill here and they look at this, they won't see a shanty town or informal settlement. They will see a thriving township, residences, people working, and people's quality of living would have improved dramatically as well. And that would be the impact that we must make in the outside world. Because think about it, guys. It is a paradox, a contradiction, that we can have a society where we have a part of society so wealthy, so spectacularly wealthy, and coexisting with large numbers, millions of people trapped in poverty. And the poverty is not only within one generation, it is often multiple generations that people are unable to escape out of that as well. That the inheritance of the past, the deprivations of the past, are passed to the next generation and the next generation and so on. So they never escape this vicious cycle. None of that is made by God. None of that comes from heaven. It is entirely made by human beings, by us, our forebears. And just like it was made 300 years ago, we can also unmake it. We can also transform it. That is our commitment that we must have. So that all of us, men and women, black and white, whatever language you speak, whatever religion or creed you uphold to, all of you have a place under the sun. And so as long as we see inequality out there and social injustice and poverty, like we see just right outside of this campus, it means that the journey still has to be continued. It's an unfinished journey. And so what does that mean for all of you and I? For our students, it means that you must take responsibility for your lives. That you must rise to the best and equip yourself with the best skill and the knowledge. Not just be satisfied with learning the bare minimum. But like Madiba, he studied at night whilst he was fighting the political struggle in the 1930s and 40s when he was at Wits University in Fort Hare. And he completed his LLB, his BA law degree, and became quite a fine political defense lawyer. Whatever course you do, marketing, media, teaching, diploma, nursing, whatever it might be, do the best for that which is handed down. Remember the sacrifices that have gone to create these opportunities. It's thanks to Tata Madiba that we all have the privilege to be here. If it had not been for him, I would not have become Vice-Chancellor of this university. I could never study at the predecessor of Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, University of Port Elizabeth. My time, we were not allowed by law to study at a university like that. I had to go to another city to go and study, like my generation as well. But thanks to him, I'm able to work as a servant of this university. You must equip yourself with the best of skills and knowledge that you require to solve the problems out there. And they could be in the field that you're involved in, to create a world that is more equal, that we banish poverty forever from the human imagination, that we create the conditions for all our people to enjoy the fruits of life and to prosper, and so that the next generations become more prosperous and more successful as well, and free the entire African continent from its colonial bondage. That is a commitment that I think you need to make in your own ways as well. It means, of course, that our students must be activists. I don't mean necessarily political activists in a party political sense, but must agitate for change, must work towards freeing up society so that we have a better world as well. It also means that we as a university must support our students with proper financial aid, with proper residence facilities, with proper food security. No student should go to hunger at this university if they are called a Nelson Mandela University scholar. And we must not just give them hope and not just opportunity, but give them support and solidarity to make sure that that journey is finished. Because remember, many of the young people that come to our university come from schools that are not functioning well, backgrounds that are not optimized, and they're thrown at the university as this complex world. And so we can't just create the opportunity to come and study, we have to support them throughout the journey as well. So that's our commitment that we need to make as well. For our academics that are here today, and the many that are not here, the message for me of the unfinished journey is that transformation of this university is in the curriculum. We have to teach a curriculum that can equip our students with the best of tools and the knowledge to change the world. You can't just pour old wine into new bottles. You know, you just put a new label on the bottle, you call it Nelson Mandela, and you pour in old wine. It won't work. It has to be, I'm sorry I'm using the word wine, you know, I'm at a day when you guys are going to have parties, you know, and all that. But you can't just relabel it and say we are a new university. It has to be a radical transformation and the core to that is the curriculum. What happens in the classroom? What knowledge comes through your mind? So, because if you are not challenged with new skills and knowledge, you wouldn't even know alternatives to the world that has been handed by history to us as well. The power of education is to change the world. That's what it means. Just think about it. The curriculum must have a revolutionary impact on you. What I mean by revolution, we must change the nature of our whole world to create prosperity and equality for all. That means that our academics must work in all the professions and all the qualifications that we have. And we must experiment with new curriculum that can help our students to be able to tackle the problems that I have spoken about earlier on, and Dr. Nsugwana also mentioned earlier as well. It also means that the institutional culture of the university must change. You cannot have a new name to the university and we still function in ways that are anachronistic or reactionary or discriminatory practices, sexism, racism, tribalism, whatever it might be as well. It also means that the workers that we are insourcing in the university must be treated from day one as equal to everybody else. And we must support our service workers. We must create a culture in the institution where they're completely embraced. They cannot be second-class citizens in the university. And I'm glad that when they did the interviews there, I saw some of my colleagues also speaking from Supercare, and I think one of the other companies here as well. Well, you're going to be Nelson Mandela University now, staff as well. So we need to make sure that the institutional culture does not create insiders and outsiders, first and second class. All of my staff must have equal rights inside the institution, which means we have to now learn to know each other, and we belong to the same family as well. And like the support staff, the administrators and the academics must create an environment in which our students can thrive, can be challenged to rise to the best that lies within them, and can then be engaged to go out there and change the world. Because for me, that's the most important thing, why the purposes for why we are educating ourselves here is to prepare you for the world of tomorrow, to alter that landscape, to change that world to a better place as well. So, to come back to the theme, the unfinished journey, that theme for me that this your occasion suggests, challenges us all, students, academics, administrators, support staff of the university, to change the way in which we do things at this institution. And I know I speak on behalf of all the Deputy Vice-Chancellors, Dr. Sibongile Mutua, and my other colleagues that are here, that we give our sacred commitment to strive to live up to this name. It's not going to be easy, guys. There are going to be difficult choices that we have to make because we're living in an economy that is depressed at the moment. And we have to embrace these principles of social justice and inclusivity and so on. And at the same time, make sure the institution, the university, doesn't collapse financially. These two things we have to hold sacredly together. We cannot do things recklessly on the one and forget the fact that we have to still make sure the university continues to function. On the other hand, we can't only focus on financial sustainability and not looking at social justice issues as well. Social justice and democracy in these things must come hand in hand with a sustainable future for our university, which is why it is important for the government to fund our universities well. I hope when the Deputy President comes here on Thursday, he will make an announcement about how the government will address the whole question about free education for the poor and for the missing middle. But I mean, I live in hope. I do believe that this is a commitment that the state must make to make sure that we create the right environment on our university campuses as well. And in the outside world, we must also alter the way in which Nelson Mandela University interacts with outside communities. We cannot have a university that is unwelcoming to our communities. Because you come from our communities, we are part of those communities, and we must set up the university in such a way that we can respond to the many challenges that faces our people in the northern areas, in the townships here, and of course also in the suburbs as well, and of course in George, where the university also has a massive campus into the future. So today, my message is simply to you to think about what Nelson Mandela University means to you as an individual, and what commitment you are making today to live up to the ideals of that name. So enjoy the rest of the celebrations. It's a happy moment for us, but at the back of your minds, resolve, make a promise to yourself, a commitment, something sacred to yourself, that today I pledge I'm going to do the following things to change my life, to emulate the life of Tata Matiba. That's what I really would like to hear from you. And one day when you are wealthy and famous, and then you must come and plow back here to the university, isn't it, guys? Huh? I must give back to the university for the next generation, guys. For the next generation as well. So I do love all of you, and I want you to remain part of this university and be successful out there. And I hope that we can help you to reach to the best all that lies within you. Thank you very much, Enkos. Thank you.